ideals of someone else. I have my own fucking ideals. And you should too. And don't read it off of someone's fucking personal diary that should have been burnt, you fucking liar. You like call yourself a stoicist. There's no such thing as a fucking stoicist. There's a thing called a narcissist. That's what these people are. Or every single fucking one of them. There's no such thing as a stoicist. It's fucking bullshit. It's false. It's not real. You're not supposed to believe in it in the first place. People don't understand that because they don't actually think for themselves, which is why they have to take somebody else's personal diaries that they should have never read in the first place because they should have been fucking burnt and turn it into a personal fucking religion because they're too weak to understand consequence. That's wild to me. And that's the problem of the modern world. Everybody wants something, but doesn't want to put in the work. Everybody wants to read the fucking fancy trick on social media and then start quote-unquote networking and doing all kinds of weird shit and falling into pyramid schemes and wants to do the quick, get-rich-quick scheme that's just a massive fucking pyramid scheme set up by someone who's actually smart, but fucked up. Nobody gets this. Nobody gets this in their fucking heads. There's no easy out. There's no fucking cheat code. There's nothing. There's a choice. And the consequence. What do you want as a consequence? Where do you want to go? What are your plans measured in? Are they measured in days, weeks, months, years, or centuries? That's all you have. And maybe, if your missions coincide, you have each other. And that's as much as you'll ever fucking have. That's incredible. It's the best thing you'll ever have. Even if you don't have much currency, at least you have each other. And that's it. Whatever makes you really happy without having to somehow put someone else in the shit. That's where you should be at. I don't see that from people who violate their own principles every single week and then try to play away the consequence. You can't cheat the divine. That's not how this fucking works. Because things are merciful does not mean you get away with fucking crimes. That's not how this works.
I love their excuse. It's between me and God. Whenever you told them about this.
It's something I've thought about because many religions do have this idea that you have to like sacrifice, but like even freaking Jesus decided to go like according to like those ideas like through hell and then back. And if you're not willing to do that to redeem yourself, then you're not following his path. Like that's the old Catholic and Orthodox view. Like Jesus literally went to hell. He died and spent 3 days in hell, and then he fought his way back, like literally wrestling with demons. And if you're not willing to do that to redeem yourself, you're failing in the example of Christ. So you can't just wish away the demons and skip hell. You have to go through under to come back up. I find that shows up in a few religions also, but like as a philosophy, like that's something that's very powerful that Americans just skip over and say, oh, you just go to church, just say prayers, and you're fine, you're forgiven.
Also,
yeah, but what did you do?
Also, the churches have gotten significantly weaker too. You see a lot of churches like they're not reading certain parts of the Bible because they're like, oh, this is gonna offend some people that are gonna come in. And they're just too scared of offending. They're too scared of practicing their religion, so they just have to cut out certain parts of it.
Yeah, I mean, I like to say I'm like there's one of my favorite philosophers. He's a South American. Well, I don't remember his name. He's from Colombia, and he used to say, "Oh, I'm not Christian. I'm a pagan who believes in Jesus," which is like a funny, like it's this little way of saying like fuck these weaklings, basically. I like that phrase a lot, but like as a philosophy, it's like this is if you actually believe this is an example to follow, why aren't you on a cross or going to hell and coming back? Like, why are you just here pretending like your sins are forgiving and doing the same exact fucking thing week after week? What did you learn? What did you do? Did you change at all? If not, then this religion's worthless to you.
And it's fucking stupid because, again, it's all about wanting to feel better about something you've done. It's always going to be that, in some way or some form. And instead of working hard on something, and instead of actually contributing to good, you just try to take the fucking shortcut. You always want something, but nobody ever is ready to talk about what you're willing to give, what you're willing to do for what you want. And what principles are you following in order to attain what it is that you want? Everybody goes ahead and asks for what they want. Maybe you have the ability to ask for what you want, but what are you willing to do for it? What shortcuts are you trying to take?
I love
saying fucking shit to me.
I love that you got your Stoicism rant in, and you also got your Warhammer 40K, or your plans measured in weeks. That was pretty great.
Absolutely. Some of your plans should be measured in centuries at some point. And hell, don't even plan, have goals, because the plan's never going to work. Trust me, there's no such thing as a fucking plan. In a probabilistic universe where things that are deterministic are beyond your control, then basically the idea of a plan simply does not exist. You can set goals and say, okay, most likely we're going to achieve that goal. Say, for instance, set the goal, hey, I'm going to be on time on this day at this location. Wish me well, because I don't know that if I go on traffic, whether or not there's going to be a fucking traffic jam because some bitch ass decided, hey, let's go super fucking slow. Somebody tries to overtake and is fucking impatient as hell, then has a frontal collision, then there's a traffic jam. Right? Something like that. You don't know whether or not that's going to happen the day. Or somebody hits a horse, somebody hits a cow, somebody hits a deer, somebody hits a dog, somebody hits a cat. You don't fucking know this shit. It's a probabilistic universe, and the determinism is supposed to be you getting towards a certain goal. And having arrangements to say, oh, fuck, hey, something fucked happened on the road. There's a traffic jam. I'm not going to make it on time. Will you still be able to see me, say, in 2 hours? Or if we can't make it in 2 hours, in a day or 2 days? All that shit matters. Oh, and fucking be on time. Jesus Christ, man. I fucking hate it when people aren't on time.
I always leave early to be on time, but there has been a few cases sometime where I've left 14 minutes early and I'm still 2 hours late because the traffic was literally that fucking bad.
Exactly. It's a very, very strange random universe. And you're in it. Everyone is in it. They all want to make their deterministic goal set for it. And your goal set competes or is in line with somebody else's. That's it.
Someone once told me
very black and
perfect
white.
Plan.
It's very black and white. And there's a lot of blacks, a lot of white spots in something in this context that exists. It's like binaries, a lot of ones and zeros that add up to something completely different than just the one or the zero itself. It's a beautiful thing. And then people will have to say, hey, there is more than just black and white in the world, more than just 1 and 0. Actually, there's not. It's a very binary universe. It's a very it is or it isn't type of thing. There's complexity to the is or isn't that expands beyond it. But it's always between either you do shit or you do jack shit. That's it. That's your fucking choice. Do jack shit or do shit. Your fucking choice to make. And whatever that choice leads up to, that's your tree to follow. That's how it all fucking works out.
So someone once told me,
and never, I don't want to hear from anyone ever again in my fucking life that there's a gray area, because there's really no fucking grays at all. There's no such thing. It's just complexity that people look at and they can't understand what that complexity is. They can't separate the ones and the zeros from each other, so they just say, oh, fuck it, it's just a bunch of ones and zeros that are now just fucking gray. There is no gray. There is your principles and then there's your decisions. These are very opposite things, but they both have a... It's a very binary, but somewhat of an infinite tree of possibilities. It's very strange. It's a fractal. It's massive. That's another thing that I get riled up about a lot, is when people say there's a gray. Fuck your gray. Fuck right off. Bullshit. You're lying. You're lying to yourself, and worst of all, you're trying to lie to me. Fuck off. There's no gray. There either is something or there is jack shit. And there either is something you can't see that is influencing you, or there is not. All kinds of stuff.
The perfect plan will fail when one thing goes wrong. The perfect principle will adapt to anything that goes wrong. That's something I was taught years ago by someone.
Black and white.
This isn't Elon Musk.
conversation on X. He's been yelling at his employees and people in the room. He's having a very difficult day, temper tantrum. There's no gray spaces. Either it is
But
or
it's a
it's
huge
not.
thing. It's something nobody considers. Nobody's willing to actually think about or talk about because they want the easy way out. They want the answer to some question. Everybody does. Maybe even the people that don't think they do sometimes do in some way. But they pick a problem that's bigger than all the other problems and make that their primary goal because they know that that problem is so big that by the time they solve it, they don't even give a fuck anymore about anything. They just know that they've solved it. They now have peace. You pick the impossible goal that is practical. You can achieve it. And then once you're there, you're like, fuck man, I made it. Then you think about the next problem perhaps, but you don't even need the easy way out answers. You're going to find those along the way. And that is true for almost anyone. Anything, even. Oh, and you're never going to be ready. That's another thing as well. You're never going to be ready. A lot of people say, oh, I have to be ready first. There's no fucking readiness. It doesn't exist. You look for the time that's right, perhaps. You kind of time it and you say, oh, okay, fuck it, let's go, baller. In we go. See what happens. Have a little determinism in this random universe. You know? Nobody's ever fucking ready. I keep telling that to everyone. Everyone is like awkward with themselves or is like afraid of a particular decision for which the only path forward is the best way through. I say, dude, no one's ever fucking ready. You just fucking do it. You figure it out along the way. Or you find somebody who can help figure it out with you if you're lucky enough. In my case, I wasn't lucky enough. I did this fucking bullshit on my own. All of it. It pisses me off. But that's besides the point. Right?
Adrian,
What up?
can you look at what I just sent you?
Hang on, if I could get my phone to power up. I should use this phone as my primary because the battery in this thing is fucking insane. I'm using it at max performance mode right now, and it just doesn't even drop a percent, basically. It's fucking crazy. It's a thick brick. Like, you could knock somebody out with this phone if you threw it in their face. It's a thick motherfucker. You know, like the half-court shot in those movies with a tin can? It's like that. Alright, where did you send it to me?
Signal.
Alright, let's take a look.
Can you tell me how the fuck this is even possible?
It's gonna be fun. Alright. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, yeah. About that, yes. Yeah. I'm asking myself that question as well. And I'm trying to figure out what that means. Now that person is basically 2 times the size of my account, so that's one factor. Another factor would be the frequency and the stuff said, the nature of the responses, and the number of them.
Okay, but, like, I don't think the fact that they're twice your size, I don't think it would make anywhere close to that.
Yeah, it would.
Would you?
With those types of posts, easy would make like 10K, easy. I'm just not willing to do that.
Are you talking about a certain Asian girl?
Yeah.
Alright, I just guessed. So my thinking on that algorithm was that the algorithm, the payments would reward content that gets DM'd out of the app. Right?
No, basically the way that it works is you have a post, you have a bunch of responses on that post, and the responses have to be from people that are verified. The responses themselves have to be contextually linked to the post itself. Now you can define whatever that is for you. If you say have unrelated, and you can define this as something, unrelated responses, then it's not going to count towards any shit. It's going to be fucking stupid. It's not going to have anything to do with anything. But realistically, it's all about the number of replies you get, the activity you put into the app, and that's about it. Now I'm going to test that for version 2, and then eventually version 3 of my experiment. I have tested this out, so a lot of what I'm saying is lining up to truth. So of course, I'm going to figure out how to basically come up with more cool stuff to post about. So we're going to like up the posting frequency. We're going to see what that looks like in a couple 2 weeks. Also, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff as well, so it'll be challenging. Then we're going to basically, after that, we've assessed that, we're going to double that fucking activity. This time we're going to add the news back into the cycle. So we've removed all news from the timeline. So I'm doing experiments. I'm removing news. So the next thing, we'll be adding news into that, and that's how it will make sense. At this moment, I'm the only one who's actually making experiments and getting enough insight for it to actually scale. Oh, also rage bait is not going to work. It kind of works a little bit, but it depends. Impressions also don't count for much. It's all about the engagement. That's why people post like fucking jackrabbits. And that's it. Yeah, I'm just seeing that. That makes a lot of sense.
Replies, that probably is pretty key too.
What happened?
Replying to the replies, right? So if you want to crank up your revenue, you got to reply to the people who are replying to you to encourage other people to reply.
Nope. Bullshit. All of it's bullshit. Nope. Dog shit. All the way through.
Well,
Again, you just look at that account. No, it's 100% dog shit. It's bullshit. All the way through. Look, that person doesn't respond to anyone who responds under their post. Look at it.
Yeah, but obviously, if you reply to, like, people want to talk to high follower accounts, and so if you, like, reply to your replies, you're encouraging other people to reply, which then feeds into the algorithm.
Not entirely. You have, like, a list of people that you want to respond to, and you have, like, a quota of how many small people you respond to, and that's kind of what that is. But that's a very small limiting factor.
I got my first ever monetization check today. For 2 years worth of rage baiting, or rage, whatever the hell that's called, engagement baiting.
See, these are people, as you reply to, these are people who are also themselves, like, reply guys in a sense as well. Which I don't want that. I don't want to have to meet, like, some sort of fucking quota of responses. I will put a response out there if I want to. I don't give a shit about much else. I'm going to run through these last 2 experiments and then come up with the results. And I'm pretty sure that these results will be conclusive. Then I could probably add a 3rd experiment in there where I kind of increased responses. And then we'll see how that all works out. But at the end of the day, I will have my answer. And my answer will be the most accurate because it has very little to do with the algorithm and has everything to do with the responses.
What
and
are
the fact that they're contextual and that they're unique. So, for instance, unique comments are not like 2 comments from the same person. Unique comments are 1 comment and a bunch of other comments under that comment from people who commented on that post. Like, believe me, I looked into this. Everything that everybody else says is complete bullshit. And everybody who follows that advice has dog shit performance. So I'm like, it's almost like it doesn't make sense. Like, everybody shifted their strategy from, hey, we're going to do this for monetization. Right? They shifted their strategy to that. Then their fucking shit went down 30%. Then they said, let's abandon the strategy. Shit goes back up again. Like, what? Then they try another different fucking strategy that is based on recommendation systems that you can't see. And then it's like, oh, hey, well, wow, oh, fuck, it didn't work. I wonder what's going on here. It's almost like the system that is supposed to fight manipulation can detect that I'm manipulating it. Ooh, la, la. Bullshit. There is no such thing as an algorithm expert. They're all bullshit. All of them. Every single one of them. Don't fucking believe anything you see. It's all nonsense. I will never talk about algorithms because it's all bullshit.
Is the goal to maximize, like, user time, and then does, like, X,
yes,
like, look at, like, my pupils dilating? Some people have speculated.
No, it's bullshit. That's speculation is complete bullshit. It's true for probably TikTok, but
TikTok, right? Exactly.
which also has a better recommendation system as a result of having more data, as a result of having more users, because everybody's a fucking dead drone that looks into it. So
Let's see what you think of that meme format, Adrian. I just sent it to you in DM, but it's on my profile too if you want to take a peek.
oh my god. Oh my god, no, I cannot post that shit. You could post that, but I can't.
I already did post that.
Yeah. Actually, no, delete that and repost it again, because the edit you made makes it look fucked up.
I know that like a lot of my art friends. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Test. Oh, okay. Sorry, never mind.
Yeah, but no, it doesn't make any sense. Like all these recommendations that people give you, it's all bullshit. You try them all out, they all fail. Say, if any one of them worked, why are people still complaining about it not working? Hello? Is like anybody not waking up to the fact that it's not working? Again, it's a very simple thing. How X works is it wants you to put on content. It wants you to put on content that people care about, that gives organic engagement, that has interest, that is spoken about, sparks trends. That's what people want. That's what the system wants. That's how the system works. Beyond that, everything is bullshit. Everyone has tried to tinker with, quote unquote, the algorithm. You won't be able to figure out how it actually works at the moment. You can look at the open source version, you can look at how sorting works, but it's basically like every other algorithm. You can see what things are being suppressed and what things aren't being suppressed, and you're like further along than you were before if you didn't know any of those things. But realistically speaking, none of it makes any sense.
I have a question.
Bad words, for instance. People had like a fear of bad words being introduced into like the system, and then people saying, "Oh my God, I put bad words in my post. Now I'm gonna have less advertising revenue." I'm like, everyone censored themselves. I was like, nope, fuck it. This guy said rape. This guy said assassination. This is this. This is that. This is that. Fucking 100% news. Put it all out there. Nothing fucking happened. My shit was up 30%.
But what if I post things that cause people to close the app?
Well, obviously that's going to be bad for your post and therefore bad overall. Anything that like minimizes the amount of attention you get on your account obviously keeps less people bound to it, because whenever you're like having an engagement on any particular, why am I explaining this to everyone? I thought everyone's aware of this. This is like you're using the fucking app. You should know this by now. Very simple thing. Let me break it down for everyone. There should be no question about it because everything else is bullshit. I don't have any patience to adjust whatever fucking bullshit theories people have in their heads. They're all fucking wrong. You have a post. You put it out there. People engage on it. That engagement needs to be unique, as in not repetitive and not spammy. Now you can say that's subjective. I'm like, objectively, if you put a bunch of non-contextual bullshit down there, it's spam. If it's something that, say, I post a meme that is almost faceless in nature, and people look at it and people respond to it, and it's kind of funny, and these responses are organic enough, then that's great. That makes sense. It's contextual to some degree. People are able to find it. That's how a meme becomes trendy. It's all contextual. Now, you also want to make sure that people actually look at your post and enjoy it, as in they spend the most amount of time on it, because that again gets it to spread further. And this is important because if it spreads further, that means a potential for more comments, and those comments, of course, add up to your revenue, right? Further along. All of that should be organic. You should never try to force the fucking system. It can tell that you're trying to fuck with it. Post what you want to post. Don't post bullshit, right? Stuff that's just literally zero interest. And if you do want to post it, go fucking ahead. But if nobody engages on that, don't go complaining. Nobody gives a fuck. Don't be a rage baiter. Don't try to be miserable with everyone. Nobody fucking wants this. They come on this app to unplug from reality, not plug into a different version that's even more fucked up than the one they're in. Nobody wants that. Post stuff that matters. Post about news. Post about something that's actually cool that you've noticed. Try to make that succinct. And if you want to break down something that's large, do it either in article format or in a long fucking post. And make sure the formatting is right, because I don't want to read a massive amount of text that doesn't have any fucking formatting in it. It's bullshit. Segment it a little bit. Think about how that looks. Oh, and get rid of hashtags. The fucking pieces of shit don't work. Throw them away. Disgusting. They look horrible. Hashtags, tickers, all of them. Fucking get rid of them. Delete them. Delete, delete, delete. Horrible things. Don't talk about other fucking platforms. Who needs that shit? Oh, hey, YouTube drama. Nobody gives a fuck. All that kind of nonsense. Focus on your thing here. Focus on creating for this thing here. And try to expand on that. It's a very simple concept.
And also no outlinks.
I've found that if I used to post a lot of art, and like if I posted like one piece of art that I worked on pretty hard a day, that would get me like $400 a month in revenue. If I posted a ton of shit all during the day, it went down. And obviously if I posted not at all, it went down.
That's because you still got the same amount of responses to all the stuff that you did, and you were just oversaturating the system.
Exactly.
That's what I was saying.
So
You can post at a certain size, and besides your account's not big enough for that. At a certain size, you can post relatively actively because people are actually looking for stuff. The reason that there's individuals here that are listening to this show means that this is working and means that I can do something like that. And I think it would actually be really good, and a lot of people would actually want this, right? So it makes a lot of sense. Be active, post stuff that's actually, makes sense, and to a degree, don't give a shit. To a degree, don't give a shit. The more you try, the more it can tell. This seems to be how it is. It's a very simple fucking concept. Don't try to engineer the system. Post for the sake of posting, not for the sake of making money. Now you have to ask yourself, every single post is a product. Every single post is supposed to look good. What looks good?
You will regret
If you have something that's supposed to be succinct, make sure it is succinct. If you want to post something that has a hyperbolic language in it, guess what? It's not going to fucking perform because nobody wants to listen to that shit. Nobody wants to read that shit. Nobody wants anything to do with any of that literal shit. It has to be succinct, has to be well structured. People have to read this and within, say, 30 seconds to 5 seconds understand what the fuck's going on. If they don't have that, you got a dog shit poster and ads. Or you get super fucking lucky, and eventually, maybe you get picked up by the recommendation system on some random fucking meme, and then once in a blue moon get like 2 million impressions on a post. That happens. Happened to me once. I remember I made this post from fucking 4chan about hooflation, and literally it's just a fucking image. The only reason why anyone could tell what that was about is because a fucking ton of people were quote posting it with, "Oh my god, this motherfucker," and then everybody trolling those people in those replies, and everybody coming to me and liking that shit. Or when the Yusuf thing came out, when they did a John Wick, Turkish John Wick, all that kind of shit. Maybe you get lucky on that, but that's a once in a blue moon event. That shit's rare, and it should not be your primary focus. Your primary focus should be to entertain the people that are here. That is also why I show up to the show every single day. Sometimes I don't want to show up. Sometimes I really don't want to deal with it. Sometimes I really just want to fucking relax and shit. But then when I'm in the zone, I just become a different version of myself that I really fucking like. And it just, all the stuff that is interesting that can cause potential good changes comes out. And it's an amazing thing to listen to. Like, you got a whole bunch of choices. You want to listen to fucking political drama by people that know nothing about politics. You want to listen to fucking geopolitics drama, even though people don't understand a jack shit about fucking geopolitics? Probably not. So you listen to my fucking drama and said that actually makes sense, because if you do what I say, maybe it fucking works out, but do your own version of what I say. Do exactly what I say, because everybody's different. What I can post, somebody else might not be able to post. What somebody else is able to post is something that I could not be able to post somehow. Like, some stuff out there that gets a shit ton of engagement is super politically motivated. I just don't want that. I don't want that. I don't post about that because I think it's just weird. I think it's just off. It's not something that I can identify with. I want to do something that's productive, not shit on people's either sides. I will shit on people still, like nobody's exempt from that, but I will do so in a live fucking space, because that's fine. And then people walk away from it. It's kind of funny for them. It's a bit of a hilarious thing to see what the creative mind comes up with to then creatively shit on that person, and they should. You should kind of shit on some people. Right? It's perfectly fine. And if they can't fucking take it, then you kind of prove your point. If somebody would have fucking shit on me, expert mode, like insult my existence to some degree, like fucking what they do on r/Westfam on fucking Reddit, I would laugh my ass off. It's funny to me. I look for it. I fucking laugh about it because it's so fucking stupid. That's what it is about, But at the end of the day, again, go back to the post subject. Post what's good. Post what you think actually will sell. Don't manipulate people into it. Just kind of think, hey, would I be able to say this in front of hundreds of people? Is this something that hundreds of people would actually want to hear or think is funny? It's like stand-up comedy. It's kind of what that is. But you're trying to mix stand-up comedy with something that is technical. In amongst this, you have like some insight on the economy. You have some insight on reproduction, like you over here. You fucking posted that thing with, the line at Walmart where there's less children's toys than ever before, and I quote posted that and said, "Holy fucking shit, man, this is crazy," right? And you get some responses to that. It's pretty cool. Your post performs, my post performs, all that shit,
It was Costco, by the way, not
Costco. Sorry, my bad. You all fucking are the same.
So I can actually speak on this a little bit because I actually grinded from 0 followers to 58K, and I'm not anyone important. And so, and the important thing about that is that if you're not important, you don't automatically pick up followers. So like you have to grind everything out through content. And so the one thing that I would add, and Adrian touched upon it a little bit, is you have to be your authentic self, and you shouldn't turn yourself into a product. If you turn yourself into a product, then your account becomes a full-time job, and you can profit off it with the monetization, but you'll be miserable because you don't feel like you can actually post what you want to say. So if you're in social media, into X, over the long term, don't build a prison for yourself by restricting yourself to a single topic. So do everything that Adrian said, like create value for people, give it to people, but be your authentic self at the same time. So you want to be the best version of yourself. I don't always do this. Be the best version of yourself, give value, but be unique you. Because otherwise, you may have a lot of followers, you may even have good monetization, but you'll be miserable.
Absolutely, man. This becomes another 9-to-5 job that you actually don't want. Some people, of course, they do have fun. Like what you mentioned, you can actually turn this into work, and it becomes a job that you're actually happy with. And I think a lot of people here, you can actually see that in their posts, because the way they post is like very particularly focused. And it's like you can tell, right? But look at Molson here. The reason why he has got a shit ton of followers is because he got that from those many videos that he makes whenever he travels to a certain country, or when he makes posts about the country that he's traveled to. And he does so in a manner that is that's kind of really unbiased. I actually thought was really cool. That's how I actually found you for the first time. I remembered you from the fucking China video that you did. You went to China, you did a video there, you posted that video, and then I was like, holy shit, man, this guy's giving some really interesting insights. He's not making it political, he's not making any bullshit up about it. It's actually pretty good. It's actually pretty based. It's actually from the perspective of someone who's looking at it for real. And that should, of course, get some a lot of followers. Fucking, I followed this guy. I was like, hey, man, this is actually kind of cool. Let me just, follow that. It would be interesting to see, how that all works out. And I saw you requested a space a bunch of times. I'm like, yeah, fuck, man, this is great. So for me, my standard is a little bit higher, of course, but realistically, a lot of people followed him because they think that kind of content is pretty awesome, because it's like, oh, hey, I'm not just scrolling past it. I'm actually genuinely interested in what this person says. And let's say 50% of all the people, or maybe even a fraction, let's say 10% of the people who saw that thing actually then consider a follow, and then maybe even follow through on that. And then you actually do get a dedicated crowd, and that dedicated crowd, a lot of them are actually just there for those types of videos, and the rest of them are just for you to see what other stuff you're going to come up with, right? Those are the ones you actually want. You want that dedicated audience, the people who always show up every single day. There are a lot of people here I see in the spaces. There are a lot of faces that I see every single day, and I love the fact that they show up, and that is what you're made of. You're made of the people who show up every single day for you, as you also show up for them. If you do the live show, for instance, so let's say if you make a post, whenever they're on their lunch break or whatever they happen to do, and they just see you're kind of like, oh, hey, look, there's another thing that they posted. That's also why Elon is so successful in his engagement, right? It's because a lot of people are genuinely interested in whatever this guy's going to put out next.
But you can't do it with text alone.
Oh, yeah.
So the best thing you can do is live video. The second best thing you can do is video. Probably the third best thing you can do is
maybe not even live video. I think live video is overrated as shit. For me, I've done everything just live audio as the primary growth. And that is because, obviously there was, my growth has been greatly accelerated. Of course, my growth itself would have still been quite high, but it wouldn't be nearly as fast as it is if I hadn't trolled all these people for being idiots and for them thinking I was Elon. In a way, it's like, hey, you're full of shit for thinking this. I'm going to prove to you exactly why you're full of shit for thinking this, but I'm still going to prove a whole bunch of things. And then when you do end up realizing, oh, fuck, this is actually kind of funny, then you stick around for the content. You stick around for the mind. Because, at the end of the day, there's more than just the cover story, right? You have probably a good book, or you have a good article, you read the cover of it, and you're like, holy shit, this could actually be interesting. You buy the fucking book, and you probably never read it again. Or maybe you do read it, and it's the things that you read. It's the times where you actually sell something that people are engaged with. That is what you want. That's why all of this works. And it doesn't matter what it is. Some people don't fucking do any live anything at all. They actually have a lot more success than the majority of the people that do, because they don't try too hard. They just fucking are themselves. But they also have a very particular audience that follows them for particularly this stuff. And it doesn't often work out. A lot of their posts actually suck, but then sometimes one of them picks up to the point that actually is really, really good, and you only ever see those posts, and it's like, oh wow, the system is curating this for me. It's doing what it's supposed to. It's a sorting algorithm. That's how all algorithms work. There are, of course, constraints on how things are sorted and how things are sorted based on your engagement with other things that have been sorted for you, but that's kind of how all things work, isn't it? It's a wonderful fucking system, and anyone who complains about it being broken just fucking sucks. Sure, you're never gonna get out of the fucking echo chamber most of the time because you're a small account, you have no fucking recommendation on your shit, so you go to the place where you actually get to go somewhere. And that is fucking Spaces, for instance. Anywhere where other people can engage with your thing, and if you really do believe you have value to add, get your shit together before, of course, analyze how people do live speaking, come up to speak about a particular topic, be emotionally intelligent with what you're about to present, and that's it. Take your shot in places where you know it's going to hit, because that's how you're going to start. That's how I started. That's how most people here started. Actually, a lot of the people on stage here are a lot smaller than I am. They're grown for various different reasons. But Outer here, for instance, has a lot of his growth thanks to these spaces, 100%. Wise as well. Easy crack of the 10Ks at some point. That shit's happening. It's only going to take one more year, maybe even less. And this space grows every single day, which is wild.
Mr. Beast has really good advice on this topic. I think he says just make 100 videos. And then someone's like, oh, well, how do I blah, 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 how do I do this? He's just like, just make 100 videos. And it's absolutely true.
There's a problem, though, like with spamming. So again, like his method worked for back then YouTube. And it still works to a certain extent, but he's doing a lot more social engineering in his videos than people actually catch on to. Like, for instance, his ads are a very interesting example. He once did an ad where basically the progress bar, it was moving very fast in the beginning, but then it moves very slowly towards the end. That's a fucking psychological trick. So the 100 videos thing is bullshit advice unless you consider, of course, the deep psychological stuff that is behind each and every single one of those videos. You watch those videos, you can feel it literally fucking poking your brain. I would never want to watch this. I would never have my fucking kids watch it either. Fuck that shit. But you people watch it, and I gotta give it to them. It's pretty successful.
I will say.
Okay, wait, I'm not endorsing Beast. I don't like Beast.
Yeah, no, but he made it interesting. The comment is interesting still, but still the context behind it, I think, is more interesting than the content itself. It just depends on what you want.
Yeah, but there are some things that you can. Just one quick point, I'll let Outer speak. You don't have to cheat people. When you make those 100 videos, you learn things like, oh shit, the first 2 seconds of my video are absolutely important. And then like 2, I need a hook, something like these are the top 5 reasons. And as much as Mr. Beast may suck, like I did crank out like 100 I had to do 60 videos on TikTok before I got one to work. And then consistently I can get them to work both on Twitter and TikTok if I want to. So yeah, Mr. Beast sucks, but I still think it's good advice.
Yeah, I will say that social media in general isn't really as much luck as they've made it out to be, as a lot of people have made it out to be. Like, if you see people that know what they're doing typically manage to make, like, pretty successful channels when they've started from scratch as, like, experiment. Like, several people have, like, shown that you can like start channels from scratch without like showing your own face or like tweeting it out anywhere, being like, this is my new account. They can just literally start an account from scratch, and within days they can get thousands of subscribers. So it's really more about knowing what to do than it is actually about luck.
Talent too, it matters.
Yeah, but less so about the talent itself, but its utilization. Utilization of talent is, to me, I think, much more important than the talent itself. Let's say, imagine you're really talented at singing, but you're a piece of shit. Like, then nobody cares about the fact that you can sing. They will see that you're a piece of shit and that's it. You know? Or say, you're a person that's desperate for money, so you do a bunch of singing on Spaces, but it's somebody else's vocals. Now, perhaps maybe you have a personality on there somewhere that's actually relevant. But you did this quick out thing that everybody will remember you for. And now you're fucked. So talent is like kind of on the back burner there. But your main talent will be, or actually your ability rather. This is an ability people can put into themselves. And not everyone's going to succeed equally, but maybe they have some parts that they kind of specialize in and succeed specifically in this region. It's goal B, right? We can be specialists. data analysis, data breakdown, stuff that makes sense. So for instance, when I speak, whatever I do is I try to compress as much as possible. If it's a bad day for me, you can fucking tell because my focus is off. But it's all about taking things and putting them together in such a way that makes sense. And I know it makes sense because a lot of people understand what it is that I'm saying. However, if somebody else were to come up and start fucking rambling with other bullshit that's incoherent, everybody leaves because they're fucking bored of this bullshit. You're supposed to put things together, make sure that they're engaging, and make sure that this is something that actually makes sense. For instance, I can give you an example for how this stacks up into real life. You actually have to become a teacher of sorts. That's also how stand-up comedy works, by the way. Quite a lot of the time, it's like sensing the audience and what it is that you can give them and what it is that they already know, right? You gauge that, and then, of course, you deliver some context and you deliver the punchline. If the context was received, then the punchline hits and everybody laughs. You're great stand-up comedian. However, it also depends on the crowd. Maybe they don't think that the fucking joke about the fat person is funny, right? You're in a liberal city, nobody cares about that. Maybe they really do care if they're starting to become a little bit more, on the other side. But hey, that kind of stuff works. Some comedians, they joke about other things. They joke about, say, food, or they joke about politics, or they joke about specific social settings, all that kind of stuff. It's all about what your crowd is, right? That's also important. So it largely scales. But also it's about the teaching. I once taught a person, just for fun, I wanted to try it out. I was like in a place, third world country, right? I randomly got into a conversation with somebody asking him some stuff. And I thought, you know what? This guy probably doesn't understand quite how money works. So I explained to him in 5 minutes the nature of money, where it comes from, what it used to be, what it is now, and how it works. This fucking dude's mind transformed. And he fucking got it. The educational system couldn't do for him in 5 years what I did for him in 5 minutes. That's fucking insane. That's the real talent. That's some fucking shit. Do you really understand enough in order to do that? That's what you should be after. It's the proper utilization of talent. I'm talking autistic as shit. But
I was once watching a YouTube video about stacks and heaps, which is like a concept in computer science and computers, And the video explained it was 10 minutes long, and I was like, holy shit, this 10-minute video has explained these concepts better to me than my university did in several semesters.
It's like Feynman explaining fire for the first time. I won't be able to do it, but I'm sure Adrian knows it better than I do.
An oxidizer, freedom, fire is freedom. It's very dangerous. It can fucking burn you, but it allows you to do things there. It's like energy projection, really. It's kind of cool. Releases trapped energy. You want me to harp on fire? I can do that too. It's quite easy, but it's also kind of fun. This is an example of data compression, right? Explaining what is fire, why is it important? There's a number of reasons.
How it works.
Yeah, how it works.
More than just something that's bright and warm, but literally what's going on from a first principles perspective.
Dude, it's even cooler. You can look at it chemically, or I can look at it more generally. For instance, saying, oh, hey, let's take a piece of wood. What is it made out of? How did it got here? It took a plant to make this, but what did this plant do? It took nutrients of the earth, but the majority it took from the air, took carbon dioxide, used the sun to fix the carbon dioxide into this amazing stuff, this fibrous cellulose-like stuff that's called wood, and somehow trapped the sun's energy in it. And I can take that, and you add an oxidizer to it, which is probably other heat, or maybe even the sun itself if you had something like a lens you were to project the sun's energy to a tiny little point. And now you're breaking down the timber, and it's releasing the carbon again, and some of it remains. That's incredible. It's a beautiful thing. You're releasing the sun's power again. This is also kind of what we're doing when we're burning coal. It's you take coal out of the earth, that is actually stored up carbon dioxide and solar energy to a certain extent because that's what made the plants grow. That's where it came from, right? So it's like a battery. It's almost like a battery. But fire itself, even beyond that, it's kind of cool what you can do with it. Fire is freedom. Fire is this incredible fucking thing that has allowed humanity to do the most amazing stuff. It has moved the first mountains, engines, all this kind of stuff. It can clear a forest and make it a barren landscape with just but one spark and a little bit of wind. It can help you turn this like weird rock that you now crushed into a powder and mixed with some charcoal, and you heated it up, it turns it into a liquid. And then you take the result of that, you cast it somehow, and you beat it down until it becomes a sword, and now it can wage advanced war. All that kind of stuff. It's very fucking fascinating. Also kind of pisses me off that Germany bans you from doing fire. Did you know it's fucking illegal in Germany to do fire? You cannot go into the forest, fucking collect some sticks and make a fire. You have to get a permit from the fucking city to make a barbecue. Oh, and you're limited as to how many barbecues you're allowed to have in a year. And where you're allowed to have them.
Is Tesla able to get enough power at its plant in Berlin?
At the moment, yes. But if the arsonists come around again, probably not.
Oh, is that a thing? They like try to light the plant on fire, kind of.
Yep, that's how the plant shut down before. A bunch of quote-unquote climate activists. I'm going to say quote-unquote climate activists because they were retarded enough to burn down the plant that is manufacturing electric vehicles that reduce emissions. If you're stupid enough to fucking do that, then you're not a climate activist, because clearly you don't understand what you're doing, because that's kind of stupid. Wouldn't it be fucking stupid that the thing you campaign for, which is electric vehicles, that you then take the thing that's manufacturing those electric vehicles and you somehow put it to a stop because of quote-unquote climate? Even though what they do causes less emissions and what they produce reduces emissions overall. Like, wouldn't that be kind of stupid? It would, right? It was also to kind of separate you from the concept of what you're trying to protect, which is the fucking climate. Like, I protect the fucking climate. That's why I like this kind of stuff, right? Obviously.
Are you familiar with the conspiracy theory around Soviet Russia and nuclear power in Europe?
What, that they made it seem more dangerous than it actually is?
So they could sell oil and gas? Yeah. Don't know if true, but amusing. And you never
It is interesting because everybody thinks, oh my god, like whenever somebody says, hey, nuclear power, Chernobyl. No. No.
That would be some pretty high-level multi-dimensional chess.
You are, don't it?
I mean, I don't know. It's possible. It doesn't seem like it doesn't seem actually that expensive to market people into having a new ideology and then enforcing that ideology on others in a way such that you have like one ringleader who's like, guys, we're going to go start a fire at the Tesla plant. And then the other people are like, we got to do it too because we're all part of this like socially cohesive unit, and I don't want to be judged if I don't do it, and I feel like I'm part of a group, things like that.
Absolutely. Agent provocateurs are a time-honored deep state tradition. I would not ignore the possibility of that at all. And that is especially common, actually, in environmentalist movements. Like, even the FBI does that shit.
Going back to what you were saying earlier, Adrian, in the conversation, coming for the mind, 2 points. One, I really like that point that you're never ready. I've experienced a little bit of that, and it's hard to communicate that to people who've never experienced that never experienced that. It's so important. You just have to start sometimes. And then the other thing about coming to the mind is I got up in this conversation and I heard you and like Wiggle and this other guy used to come around who's a little bit older talk about Tesla a lot, and then I bought some and I told someone else to join the conversation, and then they bought a lot too. So there's something to this,
Holy shit. I have contributed to the Tesla stock. Tesla stock price going up. The minimal, of course, but yeah. I'm kind of thinking of bringing back the Tesla Weekly stuff as well.
but yeah.
I mean, I'm not the way that. Okay, so this other person who I invited, they bought like a significant portion of their net worth in Tesla after listening to the conversation a couple of times. They approach it from like a balance sheet, like what products are being released perspective. My theory on stocks is you just find someone who's like really, really good at shit and seems honest, and then you invest it in financials. And yeah.
I think it just depends. The financials matter a lot of the time. Sometimes there are unicorn cases where they matter a lot less. But you can't totally abandon fundamental analysis if you're making investment decisions, at least in my opinion.
All right, so we'll switch from Tesla to Bezos, right? So, Amazon superficially had horrible financials from, I think its founding until about like 2004, 2005. And, but if you look at Bezos is probably like the second best profit-oriented builder founder in the world right now. And if you figured out that guy was like just pretty smart and not a horrible person and committed to his work, then you were going to do pretty well without looking at the financials. And that's just my way of doing things. It works better for me than doing something that I hate, which is poring over financial documents.
I mean, I do agree with you that there are cases where bad financials still produce good results in the long run. And I think what's important in those cases, though, is looking at how money is actually being spent. Like, just because you're not turning a profit doesn't mean that you're operating your business poorly. And if the money is being spent well, particularly in ways that are likely to generate future revenue, like bad financials can almost be a good thing, right? Like, you want companies that use their capital productively instead of just sitting on it. So yeah, point well decision, I guess.
So here's my thought, right? Like, so obviously the financials matter and the fundamentals of the business matter, but you're never going to be able to master those things better than the person who's running that business. So as a proxy, you can just kind of figure out like, oh, is this guy good or not? And if you reach the conclusion with a high degree of confidence that they are, one, capable, two, honest, you can just skip all the financial stuff because they're going to know it better than you anyways. And so the financials are only useful insofar as the financials and the business operations are only useful insofar as it tells you about the person who's running the business.
I definitely agree with you there. And like a good example I can give you is I bought GameStop stock when I found out Ryan Cohen bought it back in like November, early December of 2020. And I bought it because I know that he's done a great job with his businesses and that he's got a reputation as just being a super straight shooter who turns, companies into pretty big successes. And so I was like, sure, why not? And that ended up being one of the better financial decisions, that I've made in my time investing. And it was based purely on a person that I trusted and bad company financials at the time, right? Like, you had to buy into this story about all the shorting that was happening, which turned out to be true. But it wasn't something that you could just like look at their balance sheet and say like, oh yes, easy buy.
Well, so the beautiful thing about that is, did you spend a lot of time in making that decision?
No, I didn't. I was saying it's a case study that shows that you're right. Like, sometimes that is the right thing to do.
Weird. I don't know. I think that's it's just another way to do it. People don't really talk about it, but it's just another way to do it.
Yeah, I think it's important to know the person that you're investing in well. It's almost, at that point, it's almost like buying like NFTs or cryptos. Sometimes you're investing in people more than the actual project.
A quick question for everyone, and maybe it's stupid. but has anyone figured out a way to listen to spaces and get work done at the same time? Because
I think like listening to music or like probably listening to stuff that you don't instantly kind of jam with is probably a better idea than to kind of like try to consume content and read an email at the same time. I kind of like glaze over whatever I'm hearing. Whenever I focus on something, the rest of the world just becomes kind of
Did they kick me from the room?
One of the things that helps me with being able to multitask is that you kind of like need to like set periods of time to like clear your thoughts out. Oh, there's either journaling or music to like kind of like get rid of it, and then once that collection of tasks is categorized into like your brain, you can like set it. That's like opening a new tab in your brain basically. Or maybe it's more like opening a new browser with a bunch of tabs, just like dedicated spaces. But at least for me, I find that like music with no vocals, just like repetitive beats, that tends to like set almost like a what's it called? Like a mesomere, the thing that keeps a beat by switching back and forth. It's kind of like that kind of music that like it's repetitive and metronome, yeah. It's like if I have music that's similar to a metronome or something, it allows me to like. I almost want to say whatever I'm doing gets like put on each tick of the tick, so it's kind of like I'm treating my brain like a CPU and like categorizing operations onto the tick of the music, and I find that keeps individual tasks in their own zone on a tick, so that they don't get like confused between each other. At least that works for me. I tend to like listen to organ music or like abstract weird like German sci-fi sounding music from like abstract artists, experimental artists. Like anything that has like a kind of like metronome tone to it. But like to me the key is if your brain can set the ticks of each process in a repetitive way and keep it like on like a clear thread, it's somewhat easier to multitask. If it's all going at random intervals all at once, it all gets combobulated, and at least for me, I just can't focus.
I'm gonna try that. I've always done the no vocals music, but I need to try something that has a metronome like beat that's regular that maybe helps me stay on task and maybe somehow gives me energy or some sort of rhythm.
I'll recommend something that I got addicted. I found this artist like years ago, but there's someone. If you Google search OCP organ remix or OCP organ reworks, it's like an album on Bandcamp. I find that the way in which it's like kind of like the first song on this album I use to like clear out all my brain, like everything that's in my brain. The second one's kind of like also good for that, but it's very loud. And then the rest of them are good for like playing while I'm working and keeping everything organized on a tick. I'll usually listen to the first one to like go to bed faster. I try to create like almost like a Pavlovian response to certain music that is like gentle, and my brain will just know it's time to go to sleep because it's I trained it to like hear that sound and go to sleep. When I was a teenager, I actually used Half-Life 2 soundtrack for that. The abstract music in Half-Life 2 was really good for that.
There's one thing that is even
Whatever
more
music
effective
is
than this, and it's like nothing. Literally listening to nothing. Like I have the sneaking suspicion that a lot of the stuff you're trying to listen to focus or something, it's just not doing it. And like the best thing to do is just absolutely nothing. Have nothing. Like just listen to nothing except the environment around you. Say for instance, I had to learn how to work a particular type of machine, and what was I doing? I was standing there looking at what the person was doing. I was not listening to anything. I was locked in, looking what the person is doing, and now I am maintaining that exact machine better than the person who told me. I don't listen to anything while I do that. Actually, if I listen to anything while I'm doing that, my performance goes down. So listen to nothing. Personal recommendation: listen to absolutely fucking nothing. Even when I'm like doing anything on my computer, I just won't listen to anything. I just fucking turn everything down. Maybe like if you're doing a repetitive task that's fucking annoying as shit, like washing the dishes, for instance, or doing stuff that's very repetitive, like hanging the laundry or something like that, you probably want to have something on in the background. Or you're about to paint or something that's like long, strenuous, and extremely repetitive and has no detail in it. Okay, yeah, cool. Well, yes. But something which requires actual focus, requires you to hear it absolutely whatsoever. Perhaps maybe you exist in a noisy environment. Maybe try to power through that, and if you can't, just fucking do nothing. Just literally listen to nothing. Plug yourself out of that entirely and listen to nothing. It is a lot better.
If I'm learning a new task, absolutely. Like I can't be distracted if I'm like reading a new book or like new information. But if I'm like producing work, I need something to keep my brain focused by like. There's always that part of my brain that wants to go do something else, and that's the part I gotta shut down. But if I'm learning something new and like absorbing new information, silence is the absolute best.
You might find that doing work while listening to nothing is like scary, but if you approach that fear, you'll get more CPU out. If you can overcome that fear, you'll get more CPU out of your brain. I don't know, worth a try. I understand that I just contradicted myself here by saying that like music without words is really great, but now that I think about it, the few times where I've worked silently, it's almost frightening in a way, because it's just like you and your thoughts. You can't look at your phone. You just have silence, and you just have to conquer that problem. There's something scary about that somehow. But yeah, you're definitely getting more CPU out of your brain.
If I'm in Manhattan, I can't do that. If I'm out in the outer boroughs or upstate where it's like natural sounds and not just endless honks, I can deal with quiet. I also have the problem where like occasionally I'll get like bouts of tinnitus, and in that case silence is impossible. So the vocalist music is more so to drown out the tinnitus. But like it comes and goes. I don't really know what causes it, but like I'll get it for an hour and then it goes away.
Does Elon have so there's the idiot index, there's the algorithm. Does Elon have something like I use something with my employees when I'm making physical products called QARCS. QARCCS. And what it stands for is quality, advertising, risk, cost, complexity, cash flow, and speed. And so it's a mnemonic that allows you to compare two things very fast. So an example, if you're doing a SpaceX rocket, Q, quality. How far up is this rocket going to go? Are we going to be able to catch it? A, advertising. Can I buy this rocket from Russia? Or will that purchase look really bad? Risk. Did we design the rocket in a way that's more likely to explode, less likely to explode?
C, cost. How much is it
I
gonna
like
cost to make this
acronyms.
thing
Why are
out of
you
stainless
negative on
steel
the
versus
acronym?
carbon fiber? C, complexity. Can we remove parts? Third C, cash flow. Like, all right, can I get this from a supplier that I can pay like 90 days later? And then speed, which you can look at the speed of manufacturing, or how fast it goes and stuff like that. So basically it's a very effective way to like compare vendors or potentially different materials or different ways of doing things. It's just very fast, and you don't miss anything. It's a great checklist. Nice. All right, I'll keep going. So there was Adrian was talking about how he explained the concept of money to someone as an experiment. I recently explained how to use periods to someone that I was working with because they just didn't know how to do it, and somehow they'd gone all the way through high school, maybe not all the way through high school, but without learning how to like properly write. And you would think that would almost be insulting, but I was actually, I think, able to do it in a way that wasn't insulting and actually was super helpful to the person, because like all their life they had never really been able, they couldn't like figure, they were always being like, hey, can we do a call? Hey, can I do a voice message? Can we do a huddle? Because they knew, they had some sense that they weren't able to write clearly, but they didn't really know how to do it. And so all they needed to really know was just how periods worked and when to put a line between paragraphs, when to use a pyramid, when to use a period, and when to use a comma. And so there's something like kind of amazing about that you can just teach people, and then you get like huge efficiency gains out of them, which is good. And also you help them, which is a great feeling. Yo, Hilton, can you hear this? Just send me a text message. I don't know if my space is...
I'm listening.
I'm just going here.
I can hear you. I like it. Go on.
I don't know. I'm constantly looking for efficiency gains, and because I want to just like get more things done. And when you hire people, you start to become a teacher, and you're constantly changing how you do things based on what other people say is effective, and like the books you read and just experimentation. And it's very fascinating because when you're running a company, you have all these different people who have different perspectives. Some people will be like, oh, you need to meet with all of your people one-on-one weekly. And then other people say, like, you absolutely can't do that. Some people will say the maximum number of people that you can manage is 7. Then Jensen Huang from NVIDIA will be like, I do no one-on-ones, and I have 60 direct reports. And people, it's just very fascinating, because at the end of the day, if you want to be successful in business, probably people who are perhaps better qualified than I am to wax on this. But in order to be successful in business, like, you have to master, maybe that's not the best word, but you really need to get the best out of people. And you're constantly iterating on a process to get the best out of people that fits your own personality. And it's really hard, and it's probably the most challenging thing in business. And so I'm just always interested in how people do things and what works for them and what doesn't work for them and why.
While you were doing this, I was doing a little casual analysis just to see what does what. Yeah.
That's sick. What does what? Yo.
How the
We're
what?
gonna increase the number. We're gonna increase the number of posts and shit. Like, oh my god. Oh yeah, and if anybody wants to help, send me memes. Actual good memes. I want memes.
I'm gonna send you my Magic the Gathering, Texas Winter, all white creatures get +1/+1 meme.
What the fuck?
It got me over $9,000 in monetization in the past 2 weeks. Just that meme alone.
Oh my god, I see that meme around. It's hilarious. Isn't JD Vance a fan of that card?
Yeah. I don't know, but I did the Texas Winter because we finally got winter in Texas, and I definitely felt like I got +1/+1 of the white creature.
You guys start doing Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I've been wanting to like use AI to like do voiceovers of the debates as Yu-Gi-Oh debates, and I don't know. Recommend what would Trump and Kamala play as Yu-Gi-Oh cards, battling for the soul of America to the Shadow Zone.
Trump needs to be a playable character in Super Smash Brothers. That is my only political position.
Be great.
One of my biggest posts was saying that I only vote for Trump because his main character on YouTube was a Photoshop of Mario Trump.
I don't know what that means, but I support it.
It was like a Mario character. I'll post it in the comments.
I'm too old for Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm just a Magic the Gathering guy. And then Hearthstone later. You skip the whole Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, nice. I play Hearthstone too, yeah. And Magic a bit. I like old school Magic though.
Still, I'm dropping that Texas Winter meme into the memes Discord. There you go.
Nice.
Whatever the memes, the channel there so post for good stuff years ago. What if Russian Mario? What is the Russian equivalent? What is the Russian equivalent of the name Mario? It cannot be Vlad. No fucking way.
This sounds Eastern European Balkan, but Marius? Like Mariusz?
Marius?
Yeah.
Okay. My name Marius, and I'm going to fuck up some turtles.
It's me, Marius.
It's me, Marius. Prepare to die.
I just want to acquire this meme Discord.
I'll give you a link if
I
you
was
want.
about to say something really fucking progressive that was real fucked up, and I ended up not. I was about to reference a certain celebrity part.
I'll send you a link, Templar.
Alright, I got some good memes.
Okay.
Some people have a real talent for it, and I think it's partially practice, but I also think that it's innate. Making memes. Someone posted a meme about autism in the meme channel. And Adrian, I don't think you're autistic. I'm 100% sure you're not autistic. But, like, you're always saying you're autistic, and it's like, nah, you're not autistic.
I'm
Sorry.
pretty sure he's autistic.
Trust me, there is a lot there that definitely makes it so that I am. It is just that I'm very good at working with my brain,
Yeah.
and so I speak as a person that does not appear to be autistic. Say, for instance, the people who are autistic, they understand how to work with it. They appear exactly as they are. They're manic, unmanaged, and uncurated and uncompressed. Me, I do the exact opposite. I'm like, okay, so you can recognize patterns, so you can do all this shit. So why don't you just do that to every single thing that you encounter? Constantly reiterate. Don't project the fact that you're reiterating, but just do it. And do so sustainable.
What were you thinking
Adrian-
about when you
Adrian
posted
is-
the other Adrian?
I posted
Yeah. If you know Adrian in private, he's a lot more autistic.
Sometimes I let loose, okay? Sometimes I let loose. And let me tell you, it's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah.
if you've ever been Adrian goes like full autism mode. He's very,
What does full autism mode mean? Just goes on like a crazy rant, or he's like, no, I'm gonna watch like this object spin for the next 4 hours.
No, it's like it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't even know how to explain what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm also an autistic person, and I see some things that I see in myself sometimes in Adrian, even on spaces, like the verbal stimming, like going to doing like certain voices or saying certain things over and over again is like kind of like a comfort, but also just like as a filling the gap sort of thing sometimes. I definitely noticed that, and also the special interests. Like you have some topics that you like to go back to and talk about, and you're very knowledgeable about them. And that's something that I also have, and a lot of autistic people have, so I definitely see that as well. But I can also identify with what you said about like when you're a socially competent autistic person, people will swear up and down that you are not, and then you like live the life of not being able to interact with people and systems the same way that everybody else does, and having to go about things a little bit differently because of the way your brain works. Yeah. And it's so frustrating. So
we've talked to Adrian about this. It's like we're very bad at like social cues. So we've literally had to just pattern recognize. We've had to just pattern recognize what people react to, like what situations, and it's literally entirely based off like pattern recognition that we're able to like.
But that's how everyone does social cues.
Not really.
No, like the majority is
so
instinctive.
Autistic. Well, okay, so you think so? Okay, so sorry, go ahead.
Like a lot of it is very instinctive. It's very intuition based, but it's less so intuitive than it is just an instinct. Like some people, they have subconscious cues as to how other people just behave, and they're extremely fucking shallow-minded individuals. I'll be honest. The majority of the people who are very socially active are extremely shallow-minded, may have a good take every now and then, but in practice are like literally the worst mess that you've ever met in many different ways. They kind of get away with it somehow because, again, they can socialize. You kind of feel for them in a certain way. But functionally, they're fucking stupid as shit. They're unorganized. They're hardly on time. They constantly fucking try to wiggle themselves into every single aspect of your life. They don't know where the fucking boundary is because they just don't see boundaries. And it's just a different type of ability that is more disabling than it is enabling.
Right. There's a guy on.
This is going to make a lot of fucking people angry. I already know it, but I don't give a shit. It just proves my point.
There's a guy, and I think, well, here, I'll just say a quick thing, because I think it's a really deep, interesting point, and it's what Adrian just said. There's a guy on X who says that, like, autism is one end of the spectrum, and it's an obvious disability. But the other end of the spectrum is also a total fucking disability. Like, if you can't focus on things like data and like objects, and you can't like follow directions in any way, you're also retarded.
Yeah, I think the best example of this is like when you talk about something disgusting and people reply with, "Dude, I'm eating." Right? I've never gotten that. I don't understand what, like, so what? You're eating, and it's like something that's so fucking what? Like, what does that have to do with anything?
But you understand
like,
what they're trying to say, right? You understand that this is giving them some sort of like gross, like desire to reflex.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but it's like from our perspective, it's fucking deal with
Yeah,
it.
but that's not autism.
It's just weak shit, man.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about how we don't have that reaction. When someone says something disgusting to me while I'm eating, I'm just like, okay, and I continue eating. Right? But like with a normal person that's not autistic, someone says something disgusting to them, it's like, dude, I'm eating. Yep. Right? And it's like entirely pattern recognition.
How do you know? But like maybe they're just like a fucking LLM that just like says like, all right, in this situation, like that's a prompt, and I just say that. No, I'm serious.
But
And most of the time, actually, I think is because if you look at people who are social, they actually operate mostly on instinctive urges rather than actual intuition. And so intuition seems to blend with instinct. And so a lot of people have this learned behavior of saying, "Oh shit! Whenever somebody says something that is a bit off-putting, we're just going to say this line to make him stop because that's what is socially acceptable." Like even whenever he says this kind of shit, like he describes it as gruesome stuff, and I'm just casually eating, and I'm like thinking about how funny it is that I'm eating and I'm not affected by it, and I have to casually mention it. That's almost like a form of programming, right? So realistically speaking, that's exactly what it is. You use fear as a means to kind of make things vulnerable, and then you say, here the programming is whenever, say, something disgusting is happening that somebody else is talking about, then you make sure you say this line over here, that is that. So basically you're then socially afraid of doing this yourself because you don't want to be in that situation. I just casually repeat it even though you don't understand it.
I emerged out of the office listening to our autism conversation to find my wife silently playing with a Rubik's Cube in the kitchen. She's playing with a 4x4 Rubik's Cube.
This is so funny.
Like actually what happens.
I have a way to kind of look at it that might help explain. So, like, as autistic people, we're dealing with a lot of sensory discomfort on a very regular basis. Other people are often the cause of that sensory discomfort. So there are a few things going on there. One, we develop a lot of desensitization to it, so we don't become uncomfortable ourselves necessarily in the same situations that other people are. And two, like, we are never able to be like, oh, stop talking, I'm autistic, or like, back up, I need
You're
some
not
space.
autistic, I am
like, that's not really
autistic.
socially acceptable.
I am more autistic
So
than
for
you're
other people to be
autistic.
like, dude, I'm eating, like, you're making me uncomfortable. Like, fuck, you make me uncomfortable every fucking day. Like, why should I have to shut up right now?
You can say that stuff on Blue Sky. Just FYI.
Wow.
I don't know.
How to message for you.
Wait, what?
You gotta
What?
post on
You're
Blue.
You're complaining about how I'm making you uncomfortable. You make me uncomfortable every single fucking day. I'm autistic as shit. Something like that.
Should I post it on Blue Sky?
Perhaps. I don't know. As a response to someone, of course, that might be
I don't think any.
as an author, you have to be self-proclaimed. You have to be self-proclaimed because you're full of yourself, right? So here's what you do: you write it like this: as an autistic person, sensory overload, blah 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 blah. Then space and then that line. Why should I not make you feel uncomfortable when everything you are makes me uncomfortable every single day? I want equality. I deserve better. Just fucking write this ripping shit. It's gonna be fucking
Ask
awful.
everyone to not reply to your post on Blue Sky because it triggers your autism, and that you're just on Blue Sky to be by yourself.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I don't know.
Why is everyone buying everyone's by themselves?
For me, other people have never bothered me. It's more my own thoughts. Like I have like a trillion things going on in my brain.
Guys, you guys aren't autistic. Autism is marked by the inability to conceive things from the perspective of another person. If you can simulate another human in your mind,
I can't.
No, that's psychopathy.
I can't do that at all. Like for me, like I've literally had relationships end because of this exact thing that you just talked about. Like in my mind, I'm like, if I was this person, what would I want to hear? And I went through that, and the relationship fucking failed because of that. Right? Because the person reacted very badly to what I would react positively with, and I genuinely have no way of like knowing what a person is like thinking. Like I can't see it from their perspective. Unless it's like someone else that's autistic, like Adrian, I can kind of see his perspective.
That's interesting.
So relate.
But with a normal person, I can't tell at all. I'm purely going off like the personal experiences I've had with normal people in the real world, and that's basically how I'm able to react normally to people. It's just the fact that it's pattern recognition. I've realized people react badly to this. People react positively.
These are the
to
dumbest
this.
people in the
Do
world.
the positive
How is
things,
Elon
react
Musk
when
worth
dealing with
$600
someone.
billion?
Maybe you're just
Is this not the dumb?
neuroatypical, and it's hard
His team,
to
his crack
understand
crew are the
people
dumbest
who have
motherfuckers on the
totally different
planet.
brain types than
I mean, I know
For
it's a
example,
language
some people have
differential and barrier,
aphantasia,
but
and so they
it's
cannot
annoying.
close their
Okay,
eyes
but
to see
that's-
anything. Right?
in that
and
case,
that's
though,
like
right
hard to
now-
conceptualize, and it's also hard for them to conceptualize how you could close your eyes and see something. But that doesn't mean you're autistic. And like I've,
In that case,
This
why
is
can
funny.
I understand the thinking of autistic people? Why do their mind?
because
why do
none
their
of these
thinking
people are
process-
actually autistic. They're just other neuroatypical smart people.
Okay, but that doesn't make sense, right? If you're neuroatypical and all neuroatypical people are different, then you wouldn't be able to basically understand each other because your brains will all work differently. It has to be something that's.
Yeah, most brains do actually work very
This
differently,
is
but
so
the thing is,
stupid.
it's just a spectrum, so it's like you're on the autism spectrum, so you either, like, autism is definitely a fucking thing, right? So you're saying that something is atypical, well, of course it's atypical. That's why fucking
He's
all
flipping
autism-
out.
On the specific part of the spectrum, where it's more high functioning, thereby we have ability. So someone like Elon Musk, for instance, is a bit more autistic than we are in that he prioritizes skill over speech. I prioritize a little bit more speech over skill because I run a fucking live show every day. And I have to actually talk to people quite often in various many different ways that it's like kind of social in nature. And so I myself just kind of maximize different types of skills. It's like a slider. When you start to, like, the more I prioritize a particular skill, that's the point that I sound most autistic, it seems. And this can be anything. This could be any particular interest in general. You just understand it to the extent that you can have like a long conversation and speak incredibly quickly about it and have like almost no errors within it. And then if you form a new thing, it's very difficult because you actually are forming a new connection in your brain, and you actually do happen to stutter, which actually does happen to me quite often. It is just that I've said these types of things so many times in different type of contexts with separations between them that I just close the gaps, put them together, and talk about it. So it's a new skill that I've learned on that level. I have a skill of combining information and then verbalizing, and then combining verbalizations of that exact information as well, and putting it out there. See, right now, for the first time, I've actually this exact concept in words, and you can see that I'm fucking stuttering because it's like it's funny. Like you become hyper aware. You actually sort of have these kind of issues, but that's how it works, right?
So
Fuck.
the way I would put it is like, as an autistic,
I just became super self-aware. That's very cool.
That was weird.
That's exactly what you saw on display, right? I was explaining to you what's happening to me as it was happening to me, as I'm observing myself, seeing how it's happening to me, even though I'm observing it. Though the thing that's observing, it's happening to as well. Hence why I can tell.
Is
Holy
the
fuck.
stutter coming from an inability to find the next compression of thought, which is coming out?
No. It's that you can't find the word to describe what exactly the connection is supposed to be. So it's like language and understanding are very different things. Language is just kind of a concept. You just mold it around whatever it is that you have in your brain. Understanding and language are totally different fucking things. You can say a thing but not truly understand the thing. You can just repeat a thing but never truly understand what that thing is. If you understand a thing, you can take infinite language and bend it around the thing that you understand in so many different ways that literally the mind itself cannot imagine all of it at once. So you just pick the next best thing, which is exactly what that is. So it's like, for the first time ever you say verbalize something, you're just trying to find the most optimal word or the most optimal language that reflects whatever this understanding is, because that connection between concepts of understanding is just another piece of understanding. That bridge is another understanding.
I will admit there's like two problems, right? One of the problems is that there's a lot of people that are kind of like self-diagnosing themselves as something that they're not. And they're like, I'm this thing when they're not. That is like a pretty big problem. But I think one of the things that kind of pisses me off is like when someone tells me something I know for sure I have, because I literally see that my brain does not work anywhere as close to like a normal person's at all. They're like, no, this thing that you totally have does not exist. I'm like, bro, this is something that I live with every day. My brain.
He lives
does
with
not
working.
fucking
He works for
understand
Elon Musk.
brain
He can't even say
process
worth.
how things in your
Earth,
I
truth.
can't sympathize with your way of thinking. My
Don't
way of
tell
thinking
me
is
I'm not
completely different.
autistic. My brain doesn't work like your brain.
It doesn't make sense to me. And
The way I would put it
Yeah.
is, as autistic people, we're playing a different game from day one. Like, we don't see things the same way. We're
See
not learning through
things.
empathy. We're learning the rules. We learn the rules of social interaction. Like
Sounds like sociopaths.
And like the stuttering thing is like, for me at least, like you're looping on a circuit until the switch.
Okay,
flips.
my
Like,
random
full
personality. I hope you've enjoyed my live stream.
but once
I'm gonna
the switch
restart
flips
this.
and you
So
find
click
the
on
right
my
word that you're looking
profile
for, you know, that
and
full
rejoin
block
the
complete.
live.